Hello and welcome to the Only Endometriosis podcast you need, and to this special series where I walk my own recovery path in real time with you. Before we dive in, a gentle reminder, I'm not a doctor. I'm a women's health therapist who's lived with endometriosis and managed my own symptoms for more than 2 decades, and I've supported hundreds of women through the twists and turns of this condition. I know my body, I know my triggers, my patterns, and the little whispers that tell me when things are flaring, and I know the red flags that mean it's time to get urgent medical help. I'm doing this journey with proper medical support from my GP. What I'm sharing here is my lived experience. This is not a blueprint, it's not a prescription, and it's not a promise of what will work for you. The tools I use are the tools I trust for my own body. Endometriosis shows up differently in every woman, and what's soothing for me may not be right for you. So please, as you listen, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Seek your own advice, follow your own instincts, and remember that your path will be as unique and sacred as your body is. This is one woman's story, raw, honest, and shared in the hope that it helps you feel a little less alone as you walk your own path. Hello there, and welcome to the next episode of the Only Endometriosis podcast you need. So, if you've been listening to the last couple of episodes, you're probably wondering what happened to this episode. And this episode is kind of a little bit of a bridge. It's a bonus episode or a little bit of an explanation, but also massive reflection and realisation. So I shut my clinic in between Christmas and New Year. I actually planned to have 2 weeks off, which is unheard of and absolutely fabulous. So I did myself the same favour or the same instructions, the same guidance as I did do with all of my clients. So I said that I wasn't going to have an appointment, in inverted commas, during Christmas and New Year, but still to track, still to make notes, still to plan. So listen inwards, listen to what my body was telling me, plan in rests, plan in rituals that I know helped, identify anything that could potentially act as a trigger. I know what my endo triggers are, even in the times of flare, I know what's going to make it worse and I know what's going to help. So plan in rests and rituals to help self-treatment, time that I know is going to help if I need it. Identify times where my triggers might flare. Identify times where my triggers might trigger and might pop up, and plan in times around that. So if I know that I'm doing something one day, then make sure the next day I have plenty of rest, or I have an oil made up to do a tummy massage, that kind of thing. Identify which plans are immovable and which ones are flexible, and give myself a little bit of grace, give myself a little bit of courtesy that not many things are completely immovable. And if I have to change plans, judge on the day whether I need to not necessarily be honest, because kind of always honest, but just how much information do you share with people. So plan that in advance, plan your plan B and C. So I give that advice to clients and I took that advice for myself. So I had made notes, I had tracked things during Christmas and New Year, and it's not always that easy, and I'm reminded going through this myself just how hard it can be to stick to things like that. So if you are taking the advice of me and others like me and tracking symptoms, keeping diaries, keeping food diaries, please don't worry if you miss a few days. It really isn't that important. The importance is consistency when you can, but listening inwards, listening to your body and going with your body rhythms. And that's actually what this series of podcasts is all about. This is about me as a client. It's about stepping back into that role and just remembering how intricate and balanced our body is as a system, and how when we start to listen to it, things shift. And then this comes the big shift. So the plan was that I would start recording the podcasts again just after New Year. I would do a review of Christmas, this betwixtmas time that we had, and I'd start again with my podcasts as client appointments. But then just as I was about to record the podcasts, the lurgy hit, and it hit the family. It wasn't just me, we were all kind of a bit poorly with it. But obviously, as you know, if you're struggling with endo or a chronic condition, or your cycles are all over the place, your immune system is or can be massively depleted. So this time rather than plough on, which I would have done ordinarily. I thought, no, I'm actually a client here. So if I was my therapist, what would I say? I would say, don't worry about it. We'll pick it up when your body's ready. Just use this time to relax, recover fully. My energy dipped massively. Again, if you're struggling with an endometriosis flare-up, if your symptoms are flaring, if you're struggling with fatigue or anxiety, pain, inflammation, any of those things, then your energy is or can be quite sensitive. And again, this was a harsh reminder, a stark reminder, that actually when our energy is dipping, to honour that and to sit quietly, to repair, to restore, to relax is really, really valuable. And it felt awful. I knew that I had to record these podcasts. I cancelled clinic appointments, which for those of you who know me, who follow me on socials, I actually opened the clinic. The first day of clinic was actually I think it was the Monday the 5th. But anyway, the 1st of January was my official start date in my new clinic space. So to do a couple of appointments and then kind of have to say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm poorly, didn't sit very well, but I know if I'm going to be an effective therapist, and I am, but if I'm going to be an effective therapist, then I need to listen to my body, I need to take my own advice. And that didn't sit well with me. And it was a stark reminder of how my clients feel and how everybody who's coping with chronic illness, coping with fatigue, inflammation, pain, all the rest of it, feels on a very regular basis, because our body isn't a linear thing. Our progress, our healing isn't linear. And if we listen to our bodies, if we do really listen and hear what they're telling us, if we're going to act in accordance to the messages our body's sending us, then there are going to be some times where we have to sit back, where we have to cancel plans, where we have to let people down in inverted commas. And that can bring with it huge emotions, frustration, anxiety, fear, real kind of desolation at times as well. And sometimes this can be just a couple of hours where you have to maybe cancel at one meeting or cancel a lunch or cancel an evening out. Sometimes this can last for days, weeks, months even, and listening to that body is actually really, really difficult. So it's really important to be able to reframe, to have the tools where you can sit back and say, do you know what? I know that I've maybe let you down. I know that me cancelling is going to cause you some upset, and I am incredibly sorry. I don't want to have to do this, but it's something that I need to do for myself, for my body, for my own well-being. And that is a really powerful thing. It's not easy. And like I say, I've been doing this for years. I've been supporting other women to do it for years. Oh, next door's cat's just come to say hello. So you might hear my cat complaining in the background in a second if they notice each other. I'll try and keep that to a minimum. She's fast asleep at the minute, so she might not notice. But yeah, so it's really, really difficult, and it's one of the hardest things I think of managing a chronic condition is acknowledging the fact that there are going to be dips, and those dips may last a couple of days, may last a couple of weeks. Sometimes you often don't know yourself. I thought it was just going to be a 24-hour thing. I was telling people, yeah, I'll be back in work maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, it'll be fine. Oh no, my body had different ideas, and to honour that is really, really difficult. But having those tools where you can reframe it, where you can remind yourself and listen to what everybody's saying, it doesn't matter, get yourself better, hope you feel better soon. These are genuine comments, these are genuine emotions and genuine well-wishing. And to take them at face value when you're feeling the fear and the anxiety of, again, inverted commas, letting people down is actually really, really difficult, but very, very important. And I did notice, because I wasn't recording and because I was having to cancel clinic and other stuff that I had planned in as well, I was feeling this massive sense of fear, this massive worry. And I did exactly what I'd planned to do. Okay, the plan was for over Christmas, but the plan was to share what I needed to share. So there's some people who know what I'm going through, there's other people who don't. There's people I can share more personal health related stuff with, even emotional health stuff with, and I did. There's other people who I can't, and that's fine. I know what I felt comfortable sharing with who, so that was already planned. I knew what I was going to say, and I didn't shift from that. And I try to be unapologetic, because that's the other thing. When we start to apologise, and I'm fairly certain I've apologised at least once in this podcast, but I kind of came on here with the intention of not apologising at all, because quite often when we're apologising, that's sending that's reinforcing that less than message to our brains. So that's reinforcing that I'm doing something wrong, I have something to apologise for. And actually listening to your body and honouring your rhythms is not something that you need to apologise for. You can apologise for any upset if that person comes back and says A, B and C. Absolutely apologise for any upset, but don't apologise. I don't feel you have to apologise for listening to your body. So then I had a plan. I thought, well, hang on, what am I going to do with these podcasts? I'm going to see when I get a bit of voice back, or when my throat clears a little bit, am I going to sit down and record maybe just one episode and try and catch up? I had that feeling of I had to catch up. I had to catch up in the clinic. I had to catch up with friends. I had to catch up with the podcast. So I came up with a plan, a structured plan. No, I don't need to catch up. I just need to record this episode that talks about why it happened and the learning that I had from that enforced gap. And then I just jump back on it. I've got the notes. I've kept tracking things. I've got the notes from the weeks. I've only really missed one, I think, maybe two episodes, I think. So I've got the notes from those weeks. So I will record those podcasts as if it was happening in the week. And there's actually something that should have said, but there's something that came up in the second episode notes that actually is pertinent to the first week. And I thought, oh, should I rewrite the first week structure? But then I thought, no, because actually I'm going to do it as I would have done at a clinic appointment. So this is the kind of the message to the therapist saying, yeah, I'm fine now. My energy level has risen to the point where I can face, if that's the right word, I can stomach, if that's the right word, getting back to this. It needs to be gentle. I'm not going to go back in full pelt, hence this kind of gentle reintroduction podcast episode. But if you are struggling, if you are in this healing journey, if you are contemplating a healing journey, if you've tried healing journeys, programs, therapy sessions, be that emotional, physical, in the past, and they haven't worked, I don't want you to carry all of that yourself. I don't want you to carry any of it yourself, because it might not have worked because of this very reason, because sometimes you may need to take weeks or months off, and that's absolutely fine. Healing, like I say, isn't linear, it's messy, and other things happen. Our bodies are complex systems. Now, this illness wasn't anything to do with my endometriosis. It was literally a bad cold. It wasn't even the flu that all these people are having. I don't know how they're managing with that, but it was literally just a bad cold. I lost my voice. We suspect a bit of tonsillitis in the household as well, because we had some really scratchy, horrible throats. Just feeling incredibly tired, heavy legs. Coupled with that, I did have a bleed as well, which exacerbated the symptoms. So you can see how your body is constantly working as one. So even though it wasn't an endo flare that made me stop and pause and recalibrate, the endo was impacted, it impacted. And also it's absolutely fine. You're allowed to have other illnesses as well as the label illness. And I think this is something that we struggle with as well, especially if you're in work as well and taking time off work because of your endometriosis. We have a tendency to try and push through if we do get ill with a cold or flu because we've taken so much time off for our endo, or vice versa. So this episode is kind of a message to you to say, A, you haven't missed anything with the podcasts. I haven't released any for the last couple of weeks. But B, if you are on this journey yourself, then be very, very gentle with yourself, especially in these winter months where we are more susceptible to germs and nasties. And just in terms of energy drops as well, listen inwards, listen to what your body's telling you, honour that, and reframe whatever you need to reframe. Give yourself permission, give yourself that power. Don't apologise. Okay, I know that sounds really, and even saying it, I don't know if you can hear the ick in my voice because I'm an over-apologetic person. But don't apologise for honouring your body and for taking that sovereignty over your own health. Share what you're comfortable sharing with who you're comfortable sharing. Just because you tell one person the fact you're having, and it sounds a bit ironic given that I'm putting this into a podcast for anybody to listen to, but I knew that there's some people I could say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm struggling. I've got endometriosis flare up. My period this month is really heavy. I'm just struggling with energy. Coupled with that, a cold's hit really badly. There are people I can say that to. There are people I can share the cysts and the actual detail of what's going on. And there's some people who I don't want to share that level of detail with, and that's absolutely fine. Draw those boundaries before you ring them, message them, email them. And that's the other thing as well. If you are doing this, it's absolutely fine to message in some circumstances. Excuse me, not completely better. But plan that. Plan what you're going to say, plan your boundaries, plan your approach. And try not to apologise, excuse me. I'm not going to re-record this. Already done it once, but without the microphone. So this is it. Coughing and everything. At least the cat hasn't kicked off. So that's one good thing. And this cat next door's, well, I don't know if it's next door's cat. It's one of the neighbour's cats. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's huge. And I've got to say, it's just looking at me through the window. I am a little bit scared. But anyway, enough of that. So, next episode will be the appointment, in inverted commas, back after Christmas. So it will all be about the Christmas period, how I managed, what flared, what didn't flare. Then we'll pick up the week after, and then the week after. So we're back on schedule. The notes, the episodes themselves are obviously recorded retrospectively, but the notes were written at the time. So I'm not going to go back in hindsight, fix anything. I'm not going to go back and shuffle anything around. It's going to be as it would have been had I recorded it on the day. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I do invite you to stay with me for the rest of this journey. I will try and record, now, I nearly did what I'm about to say not to do, or what I've already said not to do. I nearly overpromised. I nearly said I would try and record another podcast midweek and release an extra one, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick true to my boundaries. I'm going to record and release once a week. And actually, I've got to the point, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I've got to the point in my endometriosis where if I was my client, we'd be dropping down to sessions every 2 weeks, because that's the thing with how I work, but how it's an effective way of working if you're struggling with a chronic condition, that flexibility. So if you work with me, if you book like a 12-week program, it isn't actually 12 weeks. We work to 12 sessions, and those sessions can be weekly, fortnightly, you can even drop to monthly, and then we can ramp them back up if we need to. So I'm actually at the point now, in real time, where I would suggest to the client that we drop to 2 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. And again, it won't be hindsight fixed, it will be real time for now, but obviously that recording will come out later in the month. But I do invite you to stick with me. There are some big learnings for the next couple of weeks, and I do thank you for sticking with me for this episode. Wherever you are in your healing journey, wherever you are with your endometriosis, I wish you every health and happiness this coming week, and I shall see you soon. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope that it's helped, and at the very least have given you hope and some solace that you're not alone in your own endometriosis journey. I'd like to thank Chris Collins for my theme tune. It's called Kindness, which I thought represented exactly what I wanted to walk this journey with. If you would like my help, if you would like any more information on my services, then you can check out my website on halcyonwomenhealth.com/women. And if you would like to take advantage of my free symptom tracker and a discount on the endometriosis workbook, then you can find that in the show notes. Thank you for listening.